What I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about love, loyalty, and what really happens behind closed doors in the homes of Nigeria's elite. A billionaire dies. His wife of 28 years buries him with all the dignity money can buy. But when the lawyer opens that will, the woman who gets the biggest inheritance isn't the wife. It's the side chick. And before you judge anyone in this story, let me tell you exactly what happened, because this isn't just about money. This is about a truth so shocking that it destroyed one family and revealed the real meaning of love in another. If you've ever wondered what really goes on in the marriages of the wealthy and powerful, hit that subscribe button now, because you're about to hear a story that will change how you see everything. Let me take you into the world of Madame Clara Okafor, Abuja, behind those high gates and polished marble floors that scream old money and political connections. Clara wasn't just any wife. She was the wife, the kind every Nigerian mother wants her daughter to become. For 28 years, she stood beside Chief Donald Okafor like a pillar. When his business partners betrayed him, Clara was there. When his mother died and he couldn't stop crying for weeks, Clara held him together. When newspaper headlines screamed about government contracts and corruption investigations, Clara faced those cameras with her head held high. Their 3 children, all successful, all accomplished. Keoma, the lawyer handling high-profile cases in Victoria Island. Emeka, the investment banker everyone wanted on their team. Kelechi, the engineer building infrastructure across West Africa. Clara prayed every morning at 5 a.m. She fasted every Wednesday. She organized charity events for widows and orphans. When people saw Clara Okafor, they saw grace. They saw dignity. They saw what a godly wife should be. But while Clara was building this perfect image, her husband was building something else entirely. 3 hours away in Lagos, in a quiet neighborhood in Lekki Phase 1, was another home, another life, another woman. Her name was Anita Oleyemi. Now, let me tell you what Anita wasn't. She wasn't flashy. She didn't drive the latest Bentley or wear gold jewelry that could blind you from across the room. She didn't post photos with Chief Donald on Instagram or show up to society parties on his arm. Anita was a mystery, the kind of woman who could disappear in a crowd but somehow command attention when she wanted to. She was 32 when this story begins, beautiful in that understated way that doesn't need makeup or designer clothes to prove itself. She had 2 children, Michael, age 7, and Zara, age 5. And yes, Chief Donald was their father. Here's what made Anita different from every other side chick in Lagos. She never asked for anything, never demanded to be introduced to his friends, never threatened to expose him when he missed birthdays or important events. She just existed, peacefully, quietly. Chief Donald told his driver he was going to check on investments when he drove to Lekki. But what he was really doing was going home, because that's what that house felt like to him, home. In Lekki, he wasn't Chief Okafor, the billionaire with government connections and newspaper headlines. He was just Donald, a man who helped 7-year-old Michael with homework and taught 5-year-old Zara how to ride a bicycle. Chief Donald would later tell friends that Clara made him feel successful, but Anita made him feel human. Now, I need you to understand something important about Chief Donald. He wasn't a young man anymore. 63 years old, with high blood pressure, diabetes, and stress levels that would kill most people. His doctor had been warning him for years. "Chief, you need to slow down. Your body is sending signals." But Chief Donald never slowed down. meetings in Abuja, flights to London, late nights reviewing contracts, early mornings dealing with business crises. His body was running on ambition and stubbornness. The headaches started in January, sharp, sudden pains that would make him stop mid-sentence during board meetings. Clara noticed but didn't say much. Chief Donald hated being treated like an invalid. Anita noticed too. She would watch him massage his temples during dinner and quietly bring him herbal tea without being asked. She never nagged. She just paid attention. By March, Chief Donald was having trouble sleeping. His left hand would sometimes go numb during important phone calls. But he kept going. Always kept going. The stroke was building inside him like a storm, and everyone could see the clouds gathering. But nobody, not Clara, not Anita, not his children, nobody knew how to stop what was coming. Thursday, April 15th. Lagos was drowning in one of those heavy rainfalls that turn the city into a river. Chief Donald had spent 3 days in Lekki, which was unusual. Normally, he split his time evenly between both homes. But something was different that week. He seemed tired, not just physically tired, but soul-deep exhausted. That evening, Anita made his favorite meal, pepper soup with goat meat, the way his grandmother used to make it. Michael and Zara were doing homework at the dining table, while cartoons played on the TV. It was 8:47 p.m. when it happened. Chief Donald was laughing at something Zara had drawn, a picture of their family with a dog they didn't have, but she wanted. Mid-laugh, his face just changed. The left side of his mouth dropped. His eyes became confused, like he suddenly didn't recognize where he was. The glass of water in his hand fell to the floor. Anita knew immediately. Her mother had died of a stroke 3 years earlier, and she recognized the signs. "Michael, take your sister to your room, now." She called the ambulance. She called Chief Donald's personal doctor. She did not call Clara. Not yet. At Lagos University Teaching Hospital, the doctors worked for 2 hours to stabilize him. The stroke had damaged his left side, affecting his speech and movement. But he was alive. When Chief Donald finally opened his eyes, the first word he tried to say was, "Anita." She was right there, holding his good hand. "I'm here," she whispered. He struggled to speak, but his words were clear enough. "Call Clara. Tell her I'm not coming back." Anita didn't understand what he meant. Not then. Chief Donald spent 21 days in that hospital. For the first week, doctors weren't sure he would survive. His children flew in from around the world. Clara came to Lagos, something she rarely did, and stayed in a hotel near the hospital. This was the first time Clara and Anita had ever been in the same space. They didn't speak. They didn't fight. They didn't even acknowledge each other directly. But they shared something now. They were both watching the same man die. Clara would visit during visiting hours, bringing flowers and prayer books. She would sit beside his bed, reading psalms and talking about church activities and their children's achievements. Anita would come in the evenings after Clara left. She would bring photos that Michael and Zara had drawn, tell him about their school activities, update him on neighbors and friends in Lekki. The nurses noticed something interesting. Chief Donald's vitals were more stable during Anita's visits. During his final week, Chief Donald's lawyer visited twice. They spent hours together, and Chief Donald insisted on video recording their conversations, even though speaking was difficult for him. On May 6th, At 3:22 a.m., Chief Donald Okafor died in his sleep. Anita was the only one with him when it happened. Clara organized the funeral like a military operation. Everything perfect, everything dignified, everything befitting a man of Chief Donald's status. The service was held at National Christian Center in Abuja. Government officials, business leaders, society figures, everyone who mattered was there. The cathedral was packed with people wearing expensive black clothes and even more expensive jewelry. Clara wore a custom-made black lace outfit that probably cost more than most people's cars. She cried beautifully, the kind of controlled, dignified tears that cameras love to capture. The children gave touching tributes about their father's legacy, his business success, his contributions to Nigerian development. Everything sounded perfect. Everything looked perfect. But during the service, near the back of the cathedral, stood a woman in simple black clothing. No jewelry, no makeup, just quiet dignity. Beside her were two children, a boy and a girl, both trying to understand why they weren't allowed to sit with the family. Most people didn't notice them, but those who did wondered who they were. That woman was Anita. She didn't cry. She didn't try to speak to anyone. She just witnessed, like she was saying goodbye, not just to Chief Donald, but to a part of her life that was ending. After the service, as the family prepared for the burial procession, Anita quietly left with her children. She didn't go to the cemetery. She didn't attend the reception. She just went home to Lekki and tried to figure out how to explain to Michael and Zara why their father was never coming back. 2 weeks after the burial, Chief Donald's lawyer sent formal invitations to the family. The law firm of Adebayo, Okonkwo and Associates had been handling Chief Donald's legal affairs for over 15 years. Their offices in Victoria Island screamed old money and political connections, the kind of place where Nigeria's elite handled their most sensitive business. Clara arrived with all 3 children, dressed in expensive clothes that said, "We belong here." They expected this to be a formality, a quick reading of the will, confirmation of what they already knew, and then they could start managing Chief Donald's vast empire. The lawyer, Chief Adebayo, was a man who had seen everything in his 40 years of practice. But even he seemed nervous that morning. "Before we begin," he said, "I need everyone to understand that Chief Donald recorded several video messages to accompany this will. He was very specific about how this should be handled." He opened the thick leather folder and cleared his throat. The last will and testament of Chief Donald Chukwuemeka Okafor, written and recorded on April the 28th, 2024. Clara leaned forward. The children prepared to hear about their inheritance. "To my wife, Clara Okafor, I leave 20% of my total estate, including the Abuja properties and her personal jewelry collection." Clara nodded. That seemed reasonable for a first allocation. "To my children, Kioma, Emeka, and Kelechi, I leave 15% each to be managed through trust funds until they reach 40 years of age." The children exchanged glances. 15% each was still substantial money, but why the age restriction? "And to Ms. Anita Olayemi and her children, Michael and Zara Okafor, wait, Okafor, I leave 50% of my estate, including all business investments, the Lagos properties, and full control of the Okafor Foundation." The room went silent, then exploded. "What did you just say?" Kioma was the first to find her voice, but it came out as a scream. "That woman? That prostitute gets 50%? Emeka stood up so fast his chair fell over. This is impossible. He was sick. She manipulated him. Kelechi just stared at the lawyer like he had spoken in a foreign language. Clara said nothing. She just stared straight ahead, her face completely blank. "I need you all to remain calm," Chief Adebayo said, but his voice was shaking. "There's more." "More?" Kioma's voice cracked. What could possibly be more than giving away our father's fortune to his whore? Chief Donald recorded video explanations for his decisions. "Would you like me to play them?" "Play them," Emeka demanded. The lawyer connected his laptop to a large screen. Chief Donald's face appeared, weak but clearly lucid. This was recorded just days before his death. "If you are watching this," Chief Donald's voice was slow but clear, "then I'm gone, and you are angry. Let me explain what you don't understand." Clara finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Turn it off." "No," Kioma said. "I want to hear this." Chief Donald continued. "Clara, you have been a good wife. You gave me status, respectability, the kind of marriage that builds political connections. Our children are successful because of the foundation you provided. I am grateful." A pause. "But Anita gave me something I'd forgotten existed. Peace. Love without conditions. A home where I didn't have to perform or pretend or achieve anything to be accepted." Another pause. His breathing was labored. "Anita never asked me for money, never demanded recognition, never threatened to expose our relationship. For 8 years, she just loved me. No agenda, no expectations, just love." Clara's facade finally cracked. Tears started streaming down her face. "The 50% goes to Anita, not because she deserves it more than you, but because she will use it wisely. She will raise Michael and Zara with values, not just wealth. She will continue the foundation work with genuine compassion, not for social status." The video continued for another 10 minutes, but Chief Adebayo paused it. "There's one more thing you need to know," he said quietly. "What now?" Emeka asked, his voice defeated. "Chief Donald married Miss Anita under Lagos state law 3 years ago. She is legally his wife. Michael and Zara are legally his children with full inheritance rights." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Clara fainted. The court case that followed became front-page news across Nigeria. Clara hired the most expensive lawyers in Abuja. She claimed Chief Donald had been mentally compromised by his illness. She brought medical experts, character witnesses, pastors who testified about her faithfulness as a wife. The media painted it as a battle between the legitimate wife and the opportunistic mistress. But Anita's defense was simple. She presented Chief Donald's phone records, showing 8 years of daily communication. She showed bank records, proving she had never asked for money. In fact, Chief Donald had often transferred money to her account, but she had rarely spent it. She presented video messages Chief Donald had sent her, including one from the night before his stroke. In that final video, Chief Donald looked directly into the camera. "Anita, if anything happens to me, don't fight them in court. Don't defend yourself in the media. Just present the truth and let it speak. They loved what I could provide. You loved who I was. There's a difference, and everyone will see it eventually." But the most powerful evidence wasn't legal documents or financial records. It was a 2-hour recording Chief Donald made during his final week in the hospital, speaking directly to the camera about his relationship with both women. "I loved Clara," he said in that recording, "but I was never myself with Clara. I was always Chief Okafor, the successful businessman, the provider, the status symbol. Clara loved Chief Okafor." A long pause. "With Anita, I was just Donald, a man who liked simple food and bad jokes and teaching children how to ride bicycles. Anita loved Donald. The judge watched that entire recording in chambers. When the trial resumed, her decision was swift. The will stood as written. Clara sold the Abuja mansion 6 months later. Too many memories, too many whispers from neighbors, too many reminders of a life that turned out to be built on performance rather than love. She moved to Enugu, to a quiet house near her sister's family. The 20% inheritance was still substantial, enough for a comfortable life, but not the billionaire's lifestyle she had known. The children couldn't handle it. Kioma blamed Emeka for not fighting harder in court. Emeka blamed Kelechi for not supporting their legal strategy. Kelechi blamed both of them for embarrassing the family name. They stopped speaking to each other. They stopped visiting Clara. The perfect family Chief Donald had been so proud of fell apart within a year. But Anita did something unexpected with her inheritance. She used the majority of the money to establish the Donald Okafor Foundation for single mothers, providing education, healthcare, and business training for women raising children alone. She moved Michael and Zara to a modest house in Ikoyi, nice but not ostentatious. She enrolled them in good schools, but made sure they understood the value of money, the importance of humility, the responsibility that comes with privilege. She never remarried. She never gave interviews about Chief Donald. She never tried to claim her place in Nigerian high society. When reporters occasionally asked her about the inheritance, she would simply say, "He didn't leave me money. He left me a responsibility and a message that love isn't about what you can get from someone, but what you can give to them." As I finished writing this story, I kept thinking about what it really means. This isn't just about a cheating husband or a family inheritance dispute. This is about the difference between loving someone for who they are versus loving them for what they provide. Clara loved Chief Okafor, the successful businessman, the community leader, the provider who elevated her social status. That's not wrong. That's how many marriages work. But Anita loved Donald, the tired man who just wanted to come home and be human. Chief Donald made a choice in that will. He rewarded the woman who had loved him without conditions, who had never asked for anything, who had given him the one thing his wealth couldn't buy, the freedom to be himself. Was it fair to Clara? Absolutely not. She had fulfilled her role as a wife perfectly, and she deserved better than public humiliation. Was it fair to the children? No. They lost both their father and their inheritance because of decisions they had no control over. But life isn't about fair. Life is about choices and consequences, and the complicated truth that sometimes love isn't enough, and sometimes love is everything. The real tragedy isn't that Chief Donald had 2 women. The real tragedy is that he felt he needed 2 different versions of himself to survive in the world. And maybe that's the lesson for all of us. Are we loving people for who they really are? Or are we loving them for who we need them to be? Are we being loved for our authentic selves? Or are we performing a version of ourselves to earn love? Because at the end of the day, when all the money is counted, and all the wills are read, and all the funerals are over, the only question that matters is this: did somebody love the real you? Chief Donald spent 63 years of his life building wealth, status, and success. But in his final days, the thing he valued most wasn't money. It was 8 years of being loved for exactly who he was. That's the side of the story nobody talks about. That's the inheritance that really matters. And that's why this story isn't really about a side chick who was in the will. It's about a woman who inherited something more valuable than money. She inherited the truth. If this story made you think about love, loyalty, and what really matters in life, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that notification bell, because stories like this, real, raw, and honest, are what we're all about here. And let me know in the comments, do you think Chief Donald made the right choice? Was justice served, or was a family destroyed for love? Because the truth is, we're all living some version of this story. We're all choosing between being who others need us to be and being who we really are. The question is, which version of yourself is getting the love?